welcome to episode 11 of Sassy Science,
where science is sassy.
Today we're going to help you get prepared for the test. We're going to have our Unit 3 test on Friday, November 15th, over the forest biomes.
So today's episode will help you prepare for that. You should be doing some studying on your own, though. This is your weekly episode, which is going to play right into your study prep. What you want to do is get your notebook and a pen or pencil. Hit pause right now if you need to. And you're going to be watching 4 little mini episodes within this episode. It's not as long as it sounds. And for each of the 4 episodes, the little mini episodes, you want to write the topic in your notebook. And then you want to write 3 to 5 facts over each of the little mini episodes that you watch. And we're going to be taking a look at that on Thursday. So again, this is helping you study, but it's still an episode, so it's due on Thursday. Write the topic down of each video and 3 to 5 facts.
So remember that everything you're doing is helping you be prepared for Friday's test. Okay, students, this is the first video, and this one is over deforestation. So that should be your title, Deforestation.
Hey there. This image that you're seeing here is an example of deforestation. Deforestation is the cutting down of trees, either for industry, logging, or retail, development of parking lots, housing, any number of things. The image here you're seeing is another example of what's left behind after deforestation, whether the trees were taken away for logging or to pave over and make a parking lot or a housing development. Here's what looks like a koala bear. I don't know where this is located, but this is just kind of an example to show us that deforestation affects the animals in their natural habitat. They are forced to find new homes or find new forms of energy, new food, or they could possibly suffer by a loss of their population. This is a graph that shows us deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon, the Amazon being a river, Brazilian being the country of Brazil. This is in South America. And you can see that deforestation increased over the years, and the graph only shows us through 2001 or 2002, but the trend is obviously overall increasing in deforestation. This is shown here to indicate that the result of deforestation is an increase in CO2 or carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and scientists believe and have studies that indicate the increased CO2 or carbon dioxide in the atmosphere results in higher global temperatures, which can result in melting of the polar ice caps. And that obviously affects not only water levels throughout the rest of the world, but also Arctic animal habitats. This is an image that shows virgin forest in the United States, and I'm taking what they're saying by virgin forest to mean forests that were previously untouched by deforestation. And we start in 1620 and we go all the way through 1989, which was obviously before all of y'all were born. But you can see the trend is that the virgin forests remaining in the United States are almost none, especially when you compare them to 1620. Another image of a forest that's been cleared or in the process of being cleared. This is a graph that shows global temperature and carbon dioxide concentrations 1880 through 2004. And the trend, obviously, according to the graph, is that the carbon dioxide and average temperature continues to increase. Another circle graph here that is displaying similar information showing that greenhouse gases, or the gases that are in the atmosphere, are primarily made up of carbon dioxide. You can see 76.7%, and then smaller percentages of other gases like methane and nitrous oxide. Fossil fuels, deforestation, and other activities contribute to that increased carbon dioxide. And then lastly here we've got a graph that represents an area of Hawaii, one of the United States, and that's CO2 concentration or carbon dioxide concentration from 1955 to 2005, and the trend is again showing that the concentration of CO2 has increased.
All right, students, this is going to be the second video, and the topic of this one, you can call it the effects, AFFECTS, of deforestation. The effects of deforestation. What deforestation does to our world.
Hello, me again, Mrs. Green. We are back to discuss some highlights, if you will. Not that deforestation is something very inspiring. I don't know if highlight's the right word, but before I get too far off track, let's look at this information page we have on deforestation. And I'll read aloud to you, I'll just narrate right here. From temperate forest, tropical rainforest, deforestation continues to be an urgent environmental issue that jeopardizes or endangers people's livelihoods, threatens species, and intensifies global warming. So there are lots of reasons for deforestation, but I wanted to focus for a few minutes on one of the direct effects of deforestation. Now that we all agree and understand, deforestation is essentially the chopping down of trees for many different reasons. So we've got an area here that the forest has been cleared for whatever reason. Trees are gone. You can see it's looking pretty bare. Well, one of the direct results, aside from habitat destruction and things along that line, is an increased rate of erosion. Now, this is not the same picture or the same area that I just showed you a few seconds ago, but the idea is the same. We've got an area that's been cleared. We've got a much higher rate of erosion. You can see that that water is pushing the soil and sediment and other materials off of, or away from its surface, and so that can potentially harm habitat areas surrounding the deforested area. There are lots of, it's like the ripple effect. One action affects another, and so forth. So back to deforestation. What are the causes? Well, some people might take forest and want to convert them for other land uses. They might want to create different types of farming spaces. They might want to turn the forest into roads, other infrastructure that might mean housing developments, shopping malls, anything along those lines. Deforestation can also be considered the result of fires and chopping down the trees simply for wood and fuel. But again, if we go back and look at these images, one of the immediate direct effects that you're going to see immediately after the deforestation is the increased rate of erosion.
Okay, students, this is the third mini video, and the topic of this one is plant adaptations. So you can call this one plant adaptations.
Hey y'all, it's Mrs. Green here. This is a little mini webisode of Sassy Science. I'm going to give a few little morsels of supplement and support information about the rainforest. Here you see on this screen in front of us, we've got lots of giant leaves, and these are great examples of rainforest leaves. Just look how big these are. Look at this one here. I've got the cursor hovering over, and this one right here. And these leaves in the rainforest, they're so giant, they are best adapted to capture as much sunlight as possible. They also are adapted, if we take a closer look at this one right here, to slough off the water or let the water slide off of them. And we have become familiar with the term drip tip. And look at that, the end of that leaf right there, and the water, you can see it's dripping off. Drip, 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 drip. So those are a great example of drip tips. So if we move on down a little bit further, ooh, look at this one that's really pretty, a big, giant rainforest leaf. Looks like maybe this was somewhere in Australia. Australia apparently does have some rainforest, and it's also got a little drip tip action going on right there too. Alright, so now I want to take you guys over to look at some examples of decomposition, decay in the forest floor, the rainforest floor. Just look at that. I know it looks really gross, but actually that's like a big factory of nutrients for the plants in the forest, the rainforest. It is so humid and warm and wet that the conditions are perfect for all that decay to happen really quickly, so that even though there's a lot of water washing the nutrients away, the decay happens so quickly that the plants get what they need from that decay, the production of nutrients. Let's see if I can give you another example or two. This is an example, looks like of a leaf decaying on the forest floor. And let's see, just scrolling through here. This is a big old log that's decaying and breaking down, and that is a great source of energy for the organisms living in the rainforest, the plant organisms, because they rely on the soil for some of their nutrients. And then lastly, what have we got here? I want to show you. This is a diagram of our good old friend xylem and phloem. Remember, up the xylem, down the phloem. So the water, we've got this little icon here, the formula for water, H2O, going up the xylem. And then we've got CO2 that's taken in by the plant to carry out photosynthesis along with sunlight and water. And it creates sugar, also known as sucrose or sucralose, or energy or food. Lots of different ways to say it. And that goes down the phloem. You see the green arrows there. All right, so that.
Okay, students, this is your last video you're going to be watching and writing down facts from. Remember, all of this is going to help you prepare for your test on Friday. And the title of this last one can be Succession, and it's spelled right here, Succession.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm back. Today, here for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about primary versus secondary succession in an ecosystem. I want you to look at those words, though, and think back. Some of you may have gone to a primary school when you were in kindergarten, first or second. Maybe the name of it was, such and such primary elementary. Well, primary usually means first. And then, of course, we're in middle school, and then you're going to be in high school. So right now you're in secondary school. So that is going to relate to when we discuss the differences between these two types of succession in an ecosystem. All right, let's get started here. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger for you. And there we go. Okay, this is a diagram over hundreds of years. You can see hundreds of years right here, illustrating primary succession. Look over here on the left. We've got bare rock, and then the first pioneer species to come in are the lichens and maybe even some mosses. And then gradually over time, we're talking about hundreds of years, people, we get some grasses and herbs and things that come back year after year. That's what perennial means. And then we get some shrubs and we get some trees. And then before too long, we have our climax community of species, which we've talked about in class and can talk about some more if you have questions. But the important key thing to remember here is that this happens over hundreds of years, and another key thing to remember is that we are starting with bare rock when we're talking primary succession. On the other hand, though, with secondary succession, let's make this a little bit bigger as well. All right, sorry about that. Had to do a little resizing of the screen so you would get the whole picture here. This is an illustration of secondary succession. Now, let's start with number one, right over here. We've got Mr. Sun right here. We've got a nice forest scene, la, la, la. Everything's going along nice and dandy. And then apparently we have a forest fire, and the forest fire wipes out all of the vegetation apparently. But look, we've still got the soil, represented by this brown bar right here, and it's going to take a little while, but we've still got our soil. And then we come down here to number 5. We've got some grasses that emerge initially, and then we get some shrubs and some trees. The trees grow taller, the shrubs grow larger, and so this is an example of secondary succession. Usually a catastrophic event, like in this case a forest fire, causes all of the vegetation or a lot of vegetation in an area to be completely wiped out, or mostly wiped out, but the key thing is we still are left with our soil. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your secondary succession.
All right, this has been episode 11 of Science, Sassy Science.
Where science is sassy.
Oh, Mrs. Hames?
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What does the fox say?
Nee, 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 nee.